Hello YouTube, thank you for joining me on this first attempt to do a live stream. I will try to save this video live, so we'll see how it goes. My main focus will be on explaining what I'm doing, and if I have some time and if I can figure it out how to do it, I will see if I can answer any questions or if I can even see your questions. So bear with me, it's my first try at this option. So I was looking yesterday at Flight Radar 24 and I found an interesting flight that I thought would be nice to recreate here in the flight simulator. A flight from Panama to Pereira. So that is the plan for today. Let's do it. So I'm gonna select the 737-700. By the way, these disclaimers. Number one, this is not a training. I will try to talk about what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, so you can follow along, but it's not a training. I will be following standard procedures, standard SOPs. I'm not following any specific SOPs. And of course, I'm a single pilot slash streamer here, so everything is much more complicated than in real life. So let's see, we've selected the 737-700, and by the way, also another disclaimer here, this is just the beta version. It's one of the latest beta version. The product is supposed to go live public in a few hours. So, but still, this one that I'm using for this particular stream is still in beta, so you can see some things that are still work in progress there, so please keep that in mind as well. So I'm gonna select this one here, the EQR. No, this airline doesn't do that flight in real life, but I'm gonna assume that we are doing a charter flight. So we're gonna enter Panama here, and we're gonna try to see if we can park somewhere. I have, yeah, okay, let's try this one. Let's see what it does. And let's try. Let's try to do it daytime so we can see what we're doing, because otherwise it's not gonna be too fun. Okay, something like that with live weather, and let's see. So I'm using a free scenery for Panama because the stock one, the default one, is not really good. It's actually really bad. It lacks a lot of details. So I found one in flightsim.to, and that's the one I'm using for Pereira. I haven't even checked. I hope it's okay. The default one, we'll see. All right, so while this loads up, let's start by doing this trip. So we are here in Panama, and we will fly to somewhere here in Pereira in Colombia. Okay, looks like we can accept this, ready to fly, and yeah, there we are. That's our plane. Let's look it from outside, and that's the default, sorry, that's the freeware Panama airport scenery, which I think it's definitely much better than the default one. That I'll tell you that. Also, we can see some rain over there in the distance. There is a nice rainbow as well here. And if we go to this toolkit here, we can see that, yeah, some rain is in the distance as well. But Panama itself, good weather, and Bogota also is looking good. We can double check here by entering the meter, and right now, yeah, Panama is looking at more than 10 kilometers and scattered at 1,800, so that's good. And more importantly, our destination, Pereira, let's see, and again, it's more than 10 kilometers and just a few clouds. So basically, good weather. We can do the flight. Next thing we need to know is NOTAMs. Make sure that the airport is open, that there are no runway closed or any showstoppers, and there are not. And real quick in Panama, let's see if there is any showstopper. Blah blah blah. Okay, personal working. Blah blah blah. Yeah. Okay, nothing important. So yeah, NOTAM's good. Weather is good. And now let's do a quick performance calculation, especially for Pereira. Pereira is a high elevation airport. It's not the longest runway, so let's see. Pereira. Let's update the weather here. By the way, I'm using this top cut for now to calculate performance because in PMDG we still don't have the EFB. It will not be ready for launch today, so again, you'll have to bear with us for that. So it looks like the weather is 100, so it's favoring runway 8 for departure, for arrival. So first of all, let's click dispatch here and let's go to maximum landing weight and see what it does. And yeah, performance limit for dispatch is not a problem. We can actually go all the way up to maximum landing weight for Pereira, which is good. Sometimes we are limited, so it's good to check here. This airport again is only 1,900 meters long, which is not that long, and is at 4,300 feet elevation. It's high up in the mountains. So, but for the 700, at least the 737-700, we are not limited by landing, so we can do all the way up to the maximum landing weight, which is 58,481 kilos. Let's see for takeoff. For takeoff is not going to be a problem because Panama is sea level. Let's update the weather here. Okay, so that is the weather. Looks like favoring runways 03, and I believe we're gonna do the 03 right. So let's go again to maximum. Let's compute that, and yeah, we can basically do all the way to maximum takeoff weight and maximum landing weight. So those are the three first things to do before a flight. Make sure that you are not performance limited. Make sure that the weather is okay for the flight above minima, and make sure that the NOTAMs are okay for the flight. So the airport is open, the runways are open, the nav aids are working, etc. All right, so once we've done that, let's plan our flight. For that, I'm gonna use SimBrief. SimBrief is a free system, really good. So I'm gonna go to the dispatch system here, click on new flight. I'm not gonna simulate any specific airline or flight number. I'm just gonna go straight to the meet, departing from Panama, arriving at Pereira, and the alternate will be Bogota. That's automatically calculated by SimBrief, and I'm okay with that today. And let's aim for 7, what time is it? 6:40, let's say. Yeah, 7:10 makes sense. Maybe even earlier than that. Is gonna be the 737-700. Usually I'm not too happy with the altitude that this thing gives me by default, so I'm gonna have 23,000 feet there, and I'm kgs. All the rest default. And I'm gonna set automatic for both passengers and freight, so it will give me an automatic 0 fuel weight. So we'll see what it does. All right, so now let's see the route. It says Dakmon, Uniform Whiskey, Uniform Whiskey, okay, Axi. I guess that's okay, yeah. That looks that looks okay. Dakmon. Yep. So we'll use this route. Good, so let's plan with that route and let's generate my flight. It will operate previously generated, yes. So that is as easy as that. SimBrief is really a great product. So this is my flight plan, and now flight plan is available and is loaded, so now I can close that. Okay, so those are my figures. This is my flight plan from Panama to Pereira on the 737-700. This is the route at level 230. It's about 1 hour flight time, 10 minutes contingency plus Bogota as alternate, and I have 30 minutes of fuel reserve. So that's the absolute minimum takeoff fuel plus 200 for taxi. We need 6.1 tons, and that would be for a total of 2 hours and 26 minutes of endurance. There it is, all is there, cost index 19, okay, at level 230, perfect. That's for corrections for the zero fuel weight. So zero fuel weight would be 48.5, takeoff 54.3, and landing 51.5, all that are within the limits. This is the flight plan. These are the winds, the ATC, and no times, nothing special there. The route there, just some isolated thunderstorms on route. Okay, we'll see. That is the route, and you can see high terrain approaching Pereira. No times. First of all, weather is good here, and that's the departure airport. A few taxiway closures, okay. Personal and equipment working, nothing special. And for Pereira, good weather again, and no times. Good. Alternate is Bogota, good weather, and a few no times. Okay, for the purpose of this simulation, we'll just skip those and go straight to the flight. Okay, so we have our flight plan. Now let's go to my sim toolkit, and I should have everything here. Loading from SimBrief, fly now, and there it is. That is my route, that is my flight plan, and that is my load sheet. So everything is ready. Let's jump into the airplane. Let me see. One thing I need to do is RAS. Sometimes I have this RAS also from FS to crew. Sometimes this loads automatically, sometimes it doesn't. So I need to load it manually. So there it is. So that is now working. And also I need to set this up so that I can have the tracking of the flight in my EFB here, my in my iPath. Okay, so I guess with that we are ready, so we can jump into the airplane. Let me see real quick if I am not really sure if I am even recording this or streaming this. Let me go to this program here. Oh, already have some chats. Okay, so looks like it's working. Well, thank you for joining me. I hope it's not too boring for you. Okay, let's jump into the airplane, and we have three phases. One is the pre-flight. The other one is the preparations during boarding, and the final before start phase. So now we are starting the pre-flight phase. So we just arrived into the airplane. We are supposed that the airplane came from a previous flight, so we just load our bags in the cockpit, make ourselves cozy. And first thing to do is go all the way from the different panels here, making sure that everything is where it's supposed to be. So the airplane is already with electrical power, and we are using external power at the moment, so that is okay. So the only thing I need to change here is the selection of this audio control panel. This is the observer audio control panel. And who is the observer? Well, the observer is this guy that sits between those two seats here. There is a jump seat here, and that's for the observer. Who is usually at the observer? Well, check airmans, instructors, or jump seaters, you know. Those are the guys that they will be using this jump seat here, and they will, if you look up, that is their audio control panel. So that's the one that I need to set to flight interphone. So if the guy is picked, it doesn't talk to the ATC or to everybody else, it just talk to us. Okay, the rest is okay. We don't do test of the stall warning, we don't do macro speed warning test, at least in my company. That's something that engineers do during their daily and pre-flight inspections. But as pilots, we don't do those. So I'm not gonna do that. If you want to do it, of course, you are free to do it. We need to make sure that the IRSs are in navigation. All the lights must be off. This off light here for flight recorder at this point in time is normal. EECs must be on. Crew oxygen pressure must be sufficient for the flight, and it's showing 1600 something. That is good enough. 3 greens on the gear and all looking good. Then the next panel, the forward part of the overhead panel, we make sure that your damper especially is important to be on. And these two lights are okay at this point because we don't have hydraulic pressure. All this navigation and display switches must be in the center, normal position and auto. Fuel system, all the pumps must be off. We are gonna start the APU soon, so I'm gonna turn the forward pump on. Again, that is basically not really even required anymore, but I guess it's just one of those carryovers from the previous models. This is correct. Galley power is on. Standby power system guards are down. We are using ground power at the moment. And let's start the APU. First, before starting the APU, we need to coordinate with ground crew that we are going to do the APU fire test, because we're just arriving here into the airplane. So let's do the fire test. For that, let me see if I can set up the camera a little bit better. Okay, so first of all, I need to do the fault test, and that's it. We have overhead, we have master caution, and we have these two lights. All that is good. Fault test is good. And now here comes the fire test. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. Bell cutout warning working, overheat detector working. Perfect. Again, all that is as is supposed to do, supposed to work. And the squib test, the fire bottles. We have 3 fire bottles, 2 for the engines, 1 for the APU, and both 2 squibs for that. So all that is working. So now that we've done the fire test, we can go ahead and start the APU. So I'm gonna start the APU here. Okay, let's continue. As you can tell, basically we go in sequence from left to right, from up to down. So because we don't have the fuel yet, seat belts are off. The wipers are in park. Window heat can go to on at this time. We have 4 green lights, that's good. Prop heat still off, anti-ice off. Hydraulics, electrical pumps are off. The engine pumps, always remain on. These are the open doors. Let me get a closer look. We have the main forward entry door and the forward and aft cargo doors, they are open. Okay, again, we don't do these tests as a pilots, as my SOPs. Let's see how is the temperature doing. Oh, it's very it's very high temperature in the cabin, so I'm gonna set the APU bleed to on, so APU can start working and we start cooling the cabin down. Okay, that's good. Let me select the cooler temperature here. Okay, perfect. What else? We come to the lights. Igniters I'm gonna set to the right. This interchange left and right in every flight. And all the lights off except for the position light on that has to be steady. Then I'm gonna down here, start here with the oxygen mask test. That is working. And here we have to check time. Let's set with here. So 13:51. Yeah, the difference is because we selected to do daytime flight instead of nighttime. At the moment it's nighttime in Panama, so we are doing daytime, so we can everyone can view better what's going on. And is the 9th of May, so 13:51, 9th of May 2022. All that is perfect. We click here again and we go to manually set time for the local time. We normally don't use that, so we go back to UTC 13:51. So clock is checked, nose wheel steering is in normal. All these flags are expected at this time, so that is okay. And now we do the disconnection light test, number 1 and number 2, and all of them are working. Test all the lights, and again we go from the back in the overhead panel, making sure that all the lights are working. That's something that we do. That's pretty much the only test that we actually do, and they are working. So we go back to right, reset the master caution, and now here we just set airports and traffic. And again, that's maybe different depending on the company. We set here hectopascals. We turn the flight director on and the first officer flight director on as well. We make sure that the auto bank limiter here is in 25 degrees. And I will put airport and traffic for the first officer as well. Good. Now we set the auto brake to RTO. We reset the fuel use from the previous flight, so it shows 0 here. We select or display systems, so we can tell that the quantity is correct. We have full hydraulic quantity. Brakes are cool, and engine oil is also correct. Perfect. Here we have the chocks in place at the moment, as you can tell. I don't know if you can see that. The chocks are in, so that's good. But again, the brakes are cool anyway, so we will set the parking brake. Everything, all the thrust levers are in idle, the speed brake is retracted, fuel cutoff switches are cut off. The frequencies we will set later on, and we set our audio control panels as we need them. Okay, transponder, it has to be 2000 and in standby. Okay, and 21.5 must be ready here on radio number 2. So that is the pre-flight basically. Once we've done that, let's see here. Okay, the APU is now running, so we can transfer to APU. There we go. Now we have electrics on APU and we have pneumatics on APU. So we can go ahead and disconnect the external power. To do that, we go to menu, FS Actions, Ground Services, Release Ground Power. Make sure that APU is on bar before you release the ground power, because otherwise you will lose electrical power in the airplane. All right, so that is the pre-flight preparation. And once we've finish with that, we have a checklist, and that is the pre-flight checklist. So I'm gonna go ahead and select that checklist, pre-flight checklist. That's the first checklist that we do. So oxygen, that's been tested 100%. Navigation, transfer, and display switches, they are normal and auto. Window heat is on. Pressurization mode selector is in auto. Flight instruments, heading is 300, and we haven't set the QNH yet, so let's do that. Let's go to our Simpro Panama meter 1010. Okay, so let's set 1010 here and 1010 there, and we cross check 140, 150, 140. That is good, and we have to cross check that with the chart. So let's load the chart. This is okay. New flight from Simbrief, Panama to Pereira. That's the one, and here it is. So that's the route that we're gonna do today. Now let's open the chart list. First of all, let's go to the airport. Let's ping that. Let's see, airport Panama is 134 and is showing 140, so that is good. So now flight instruments, check heading and altimeter is set, parking brake is set, and engine start lever is cut off. Pre-flight checklist is complete. Okay, now to load the plane, there are a few options. You can go to FS actions and just ground services and load it from here. You can request some target of fuel, target of passengers, and target of cargo to load everything. Or if you want to go straight to the meat, you can go to payload and load it here directly as a zero fuel weight number or as a load level. So if you want to have, I don't know, 75% load, so you just click that and that will load the airplane automatically. Same for the fuel. So that's the method I'm gonna use today. I don't want to make it too long this. So let's go to our flight plan, and from our flight plan we know that the zero fuel weight is 48.5, so let's use that. So I'm gonna use 48.5, and that loads my airplane. So there it is. That gives me 79 passengers and like 3,200 tons of cargo. That's okay. As long as I have 48.5, I am okay. And now let's load the fuel. Fuel required is 6.1, and that is with nothing extra. So I'm gonna add 500 extra here, and I'm gonna load 6.6. So 6,600, and that is my fuel load. So it's automatically updated. So you can do it like that, or if you want to, you can do it like from ground service, and then everything will be loading slowly, you know, taking its time. So that's another option, very valid, that you have. Good. Now let's continue our cockpit preparation. So at this point, the crew would normally be checking all the tech logs, cabin logs, all the paperwork, all the licenses, all the emergency equipment, security, and all that stuff. And one of the crew will be doing the walk-around inspection as well, while the other one will prepare the airplane. So for preparation of the airplane, the second stage of the flight, again, we start on the overhead panel. Nothing to change here, nothing to change on the electrical side, nothing to change here. We can actually set seatbelt on because fuel is already there, so seatbelt on. Nothing to change here. Here we can set the flight altitude, which today is going to be 23,000 feet, and the landing altitude, which today we are going to let me see. We are going to Pereira, so let me open that again, airport, and Pereira is 4,400, so let's set that here, 4,400 feet. Okay, so we have flight altitude, the landing altitude, and auto. Lights, nothing to change at the moment. And now we can go ahead and load the CDU. So CDU loading. We start in initref index ident, and we verify that the model is correct, engine rating is correct, database is active. Position init, we've initialized IRSs already, so this position will be basically the same as the GPS position, so that is good. I've seen countless, even in real life, people entering a reference airport here. That is not required. Okay, so now we can request the flight plan because we've done everything through SimBrief. So we hit flight plan request. We have 4 options, and we want to do this one, Panama to Pereira. So we select that one, and now we are simulating a data link flight plan request. With that request, we will get the flight plan, and we can also request winds. So that's is very handy. It takes a lot of workload out. So the information is here, loading the route. So we load the route, and it will come in a few minutes. You can tell there is a message here, FMC message, and the message is route uplink loading. So there is the route. Now we can activate and execute that. Okay, that's interesting. Flight simulator. Okay, so that is the route. To load the winds, you have to have performance first. So that will have to wait a little bit to load the winds. What we can do is we can see what kind of departure we can expect. So let's go back to Panama, open the chart list. Let's actually see where we are here. Okay, so yeah, 03 right, that's the main runway for civilian airlines at least. And the wind was favoring that. See, variable at 2, so yeah, any runway can do it, but the main runway is 03 right, so that's, let's see what departures we have to that. We are going to Dagmo and action, so Navigraph, let's see, 3 right, sorry, 3 right. Okay, nothing much there. Nothing much there. And nothing much there. Okay, so in that case, yeah, I think we can select this one here, RNP, RNAV RNP from runway 03 right. Let's see if what we have here in the database. So we hit departure arrivals, departure from Panama. We are using 03 right, and yeah, RNP 03 right, that's the one that we want. And let's see, looks like that's going on the other direction. Yeah, that's going on the other direction. Let's see what other options we have. Okay, yeah, but it should work, this one. The other options were not, and not, no, we're gonna use that one. We're gonna use that one. So departure from 03 right, the RNP. We're gonna go ahead and execute that. So now we have this, and we can select from there to there and see what happens. Okay. Yeah, that works. Okay, so let's make sure that our departure is correct. So based on the chart here, we need to go first to TC225, and that's what we have here, TC225. And also, let's set this in plan mode, that's what we have there, TC225. And then we go to TC226. So these RF points here, these are just to make the ARC DME here. The LNAV for RF radius and arcs is still not finished for PMDG, so that's why we have to do these pseudo waypoints here. And the next basically waypoint from the procedure is TC226, maximum 220 knots, and we have that here. After that, we are going to, and you can tell here that's a nice arc, TC226, and then Tirla. Tirla is 5,000 or above, and that is what we have there. So what else? Transition altitude 18,000 feet. So let's see. Transition altitude 18,000 is correct. RF and GPS required, RNP 0.3, and we have that. Let's see if that's loaded, RNP 1. So what we can do is we can set here RNP 0.3. There we go. Now we have RNP 0.3, perfect. And special crew and aircraft authorization is required. So we will assume that we have that authorization. Climb on track 033 to TC225, then via the depicted route. Okay, that's all we need for that. So that is the departure. Okay, and then we join to the route. The route, let's have a look. Always have to cross-check everything in aviation. So let's cross-check versus our flight plan the route. Tirla to Dacmo, Uniform Whiskey 92 to Uniform India Bravo, Whiskey 64 to Monga, Whiskey 37 to Axim, and then Axim 1 Golf. Okay, so good. So let's load the arrival. Why not? Axim 1 Golf, and we will be doing. There is Arnav, probably Arnav, Yankee or Arnav. Well, let's load this for now, and we'll select the arrival later on during the flight. Okay, perfect. Now let's see 378 versus 300, what it is, 387. Perfect. So distance checks. Now that we have the route, the next step is the performance initialization. So the cost index, and we get that from the flight plan. Cost index is 19, so we will use that, 19. And reserves is 2.5. Reserve is the value of the fuel required to go from destination to alternate, plus the 30 minutes reserve that we need by law. So 2.5, that is our reserve. We will enter here. And the zero fuel weight. So we've planned on a zero fuel weight of 48.5. That's what we have loaded here, 48.5. So we will enter that, 48.5. That gives us a gross weight of 55.2 minus, and we loaded 500 extra. So that's why we have a little bit of a discrepancy here. We have 54.3 here plus 254.5 and 556, and we have 55. 48.4 plus 6.1, and we have 6.6. Okay, and 200. So 54.3, and we have 55.2. Why is that? Hold on. 48.5 plus 6.7. 54.8. Okay, yeah, it's correct. 54 to 55, yeah. Correct, gross weight is correct. And the cruise altitude, we said that we were going at 230. So 230 on the cruise altitude, we execute that. Top of climb temperature is -14, so it's ISA plus 15 almost. Transition is 18,000. Perfect, so that's the performance. Now that we have the performance, we can load the winds. So legs, route data, requesting winds, and that will load the winds from SimBrief. So our calculations will be a little bit more accurate. Again, that's a simulation of a CPDLC or acres wind request. There we go, cruise wind uplink ready. We load those winds. We have to wait until the data is loaded and then we execute that. And we should have some winds here, perfect. Now we can go to descent page to forecast and descent wind request. So that's the winds for the descent portion of the flight. Okay, almost there. There it is, loading descent winds. And we can execute that. Good, so now we have our route, we have our winds, we have our departure. We can do one more thing that is just for situational awareness. Navigraph, Panama. Let's select any approach here. Let's select the one that we will be using if we have to come back due to emergency. Will be ILS for runway 03 right, so we will pin that down as well. And MSA is based on the Tocumen VOR, Tango Uniform Mike, and is 6,000 to the north, 3,000 to the south. So we are departing to the north, so anything up to from 6,000 and above, and we are safe terrain-wise. So as a reminder, we're gonna have that Tocumen VOR, and we're gonna do 25 degrees radius. So we know that anywhere inside this radius, 6,000 feet, we are safe. Okay. So that is all we need for now. We can set the left side on legs. And now we should almost finishing with the loading if we have selected the normal loading. And now we know that we've done everything and the loading is finished. And so once the loading is finished, we can receive the final papers, dispatch papers. And with those dispatch papers, we can do our performance calculations. Again, I'm gonna use Topcat here because our performance EFB is still not ready. It's coming in the future, but not ready for launch today. So let's see, weight and balance. So we have, let's see, actually let's do it versus this one here. So we have a zero fuel weight of 48.5. So let's do that to 48.5. Wow. Let's put any number here, doesn't matter. Okay, as long as we have 48.5, I'm happy with that. So 48.5, there it is, 48.5, that's the zero fuel. And takeoff weight, we have, takeoff fuel on board, we have 6.6. Okay, let's do it better. 6.6, we're gonna be using 200 for taxi approximately. And the flight is 2.8. So 2816. Okay, so let's confirm. The zero fuel weight is 48.5. Takeoff weight is 54.9. that's 54.3 plus 500 that I added extra fuel, that's 54.9. And our landing will be 52.1, which again is plus the 500 extra. So that all that is correct. So now let's calculate our takeoff performance. Again, we update to the latest wind information here. 2102, 25 degrees, 1009er, 26 degrees, okay, 1009er. So it looks like the pressure has dropped a little bit, okay. And let's compute to see what we get. 54.8, that's already pre-populated. It says flap 1, no, SOP for us, flap 5, so let's use flap 5, and there it is. So we can go to 50 degrees. These are the speeds, and these are the N1, approximately N1. Okay, so let's load that. Okay, so to load that, we go to N1 limit, and here we will select this number here, 50. That's the assumed temperature. So 50, 50, and 89.5, and 89.5, that is okay. Climb 1 is armed for climb, that's perfect. Takeoff, we're gonna use 3,000 feet for acceleration, 1,000 for thrust reduction, 1,000 for engine out acceleration. That's on page 2 of takeoff ref. Page 1, we're gonna use flap 5. The CG, if we click here, that will give us the actual CG of the airplane as it's loaded. So 23.8, 23.8, and give us the trim that we need to set. And here are the balance speeds. So don't worry if you don't have TopCat or any other mean to calculate performance. You can use these values here. These are for a balanced runway. The values I got from TopCat are a little bit improved values. So 27, 27, 29. So let's load those. 27, 27, and 29 is the same as here. So that's V1 27, VR 27, V2 29, and we cross-check with a 30, which is 130. So the values make sense. So once we have done that, we've finished with the CDU. At this point, we should have our ATC clearance as well. So let's assume that the clearance was, you are clear to take off via this RNP from runway 03 right, climb to 10,000 feet. And that's when we set here the runway, which is track, which is 036. And I took that from the first value here, 036. And they gave us a squawk code or anything for 4421. Okay, that's it. So now we have our clearance. We have everything loaded. We can arm LNAV and VNAV. Again, there are different ways to do the same things. I'm not following any specific SOP. This is just one way to do it. So now on the PNF side, or pilot not flying, we will have the route legs page, and in the pilot flying we will have the takeoff ref page. And with that, this second part of the pre-flight procedure is complete. So at this point we can go ahead and close the doors. At the moment everything is still open. We have external power is removed already, so we can go ahead and close the doors. We go menu, FS actions, ground services, and if we click here removed, that's it. It will take care of everything. Everything will start to move away, to close, and we can check all the movement from the outside. You can tell the stairs are being removed. The baggage handlers are also removing their loading carts, and everything is starting to be clear of the airplane. And also the chokes are gone. Okay, now see here, all the doors are closed. Great. So, time to get in contact with a ground crew member and make sure that we have the area is clear to pressurize hydraulics. So we tell them, hey, we are ready to pressurize. Is the area clear? And he will say, yes, all the checks are done. The tow bar is connected. You're clear to pressurize. So we go up here. And again, we start always left to right. So left side, we have to do the fuel pumps. Right now, we have fuel only on the main tanks, left and right main tanks. We don't have fuel in the center tank, so we will turn off the fuel pumps for the main tanks. That's it. Always in aviation, action, reaction. Don't do it. Don't just move switches and don't see the reaction. You have to see the lights coming out. Electrical, nothing. Here, nothing. Here, pressurize hydraulics. So there we go, and make sure that these two lights are off, these two lights are off, these lights are off, and all these lights are off. So now we have pressure, hydraulic pressure in the system. Let's see what's the temperature here. Okay, temperature is perfect now. So let's regulate there. Temperature in the cabin is very good now. Good, so all that APU bleed is on. That dual bleed is because we have engine and APU bleed on, but that's normal at this point. The packs are in auto and the isolation valve is open. Auto, flight altitude, landing altitude, all that is correct. Lights, nothing to change here. And now, here we should only have the chicas off flag, and here we haven't set any nav radios for our departure because we don't need them. We are doing an RNAV RNP departure. We don't need radios, so that's good. Everything else is looking good with no flags. Now we check here. Hydraulic pressure is perfect. We select the engine page for engine start. That it will be happen soon. And we are ready for our second checklist. Second checklist is the before start checklist. So that's that one here. And let's see, flight deck door. Make sure that it's closed and locked, and it is. Fuel 6.6. Fuel pumps on. Passenger signs auto and on. Windows, they are locked. And no, the windows cannot be opened, at least at the moment. MCP. So we cross-check here. 129 V2, heading 036 here, and initial cleared altitude 10,000. Takeoff speeds, we cross-check here. 127, VR 127, V2 129. CDU pre-flight is complete. If you see here index, that means that in the takeoff ref page that the CDU is complete. If you see something else here, like it may show you performance or route or something, that means the computer still needs some more information. But for now, the pre-flight is complete. So we tick that. Rudder and aileron trim. So this is the aileron trim showing 0. This is the rudder trim showing 0. So free and 0. Taxi and takeoff briefing. Well, I'm not gonna do the briefings because otherwise this video is gonna be too long. But just to be on the same page, let's select the airport here. So we are parking this area here. We expect a pushback facing southwest, and we will taxi via Lima here. So we will take this one, Lima, all the way to the end for departure from runway 30 right. We've checked the departure procedure already, so that is set. So that's the takeoff, taxi and takeoff briefing is completed. Weather is good, terrain is not an issue here. We know 6,000 will be our MSA. I will use terrain on my side, and the PNF will use weather in this case. But the weather radar is still, again, not working. That's a flight simulator limitation. So for now, we don't have weather radar. So taxi and takeoff briefing is complete and anti-collision light is on. So let's put anti-collision light on and we put the transponder. So with that, we have our before start checklist complete. Now, time to do the pushback. Before we do the pushback, it's always a good idea to do a complete full circle walk around, making sure that all the actual doors, that's what the engineers will do, no? The ground engineers will do this anyway. So you make sure that all the doors and hatches are closed, the pins are removed, everything is looking good. Perfect. For pushback, there are several options on the CDU if you want to use menu, FS actions, pushback. There are several options there. But I'm going to use this application here, which I like it. And I will tell you why in a minute. Before that, I forgot to check if you go to PMDG setup, aircraft and failures, you will check that everything is working here normal. Unless you want to try some failures, you can do that as well. Okay, so yeah, let's pre-plan our pushback, and that's exactly why I use this modification, this mod, how they call it nowadays, mods, because it allows me to do a nice, okay, a nice, hold on, there we go. It allows me to do a nice pre-plan of where I need the airplane after pushback, so I know exactly what's going on during pushback. So yeah, I want the airplane there, and yeah, there is good. Enter, and now we can request that pushback.
Cockpit to ground.
This is ground. Stand by.
Okay, now we can see that the pushback tractor is connecting. So with the PMDG options, you are not really sure. You have to estimate how far the pushback will be. Sometimes you can get to one side of the line, sometimes you can even go into the grass areas. So that's why I prefer this pushback option, because I know exactly how the pushback is gonna work and where I am gonna end up. So yeah, that's how it is.
Okay, sir. The bypass pin is installed. All doors and hatches closed and all ground equipment is removed.
Okay.
We are cleared for start and push.
Clear for start and push.
Okay, cleared for push start.
Parking brakes are released.
Commencing
Okay,
pushback.
brakes
Start the
are
engines in sequence.
released.
It
We'll
will start in the
start
sequence.
the block time on the first officer clock, and the flight time will be on the pilot's clock. So we're doing our pushback now. Everything is nice. And he said when we can go ahead and start the engines. Let's see from outside how it looks. Nice. Really cool. Okay. Let's go back in. And to start the engines, always in the 737. Remember, this is still an old kind of technology. So we have to start by setting the packs to off. Otherwise, the pressure will not be sufficient. So packs are off. There we go. We have some pressure, and let's start the right engine. So we select right engine, start to ground. We check that the start valve open light illuminates. We check that N2 start to rotate. N1 will start to move as well. Oil pressure, very important, start to increase as well. Then after we have 25 of N2, we'll set fuel to engine number 2. And if we see a number here, that means that both valves have opened up here. If one of these valves have failed to open, we will not see fuel flow here. So now we see fuel flow, we see EGT rise, and we see the low oil pressure light is off. Pushback is complete. Before setting parking brake, we make sure that the airplane is actually not moving.
Please set
So,
parking brakes.
yeah, okay.
Parking brakes set.
There we go.
Ground. You may disconnect.
Okay,
Okay, sir.
and
Clear to disconnect. Pin has been removed. See you at the side.
all
Have a
right.
good flight.
So engine 2 is
Holding position,
good.
waiting for the visual.
Starting
Thank you and
engine
goodbye.
1. Same story. Engine start selector to ground. We have to see N2 rotation. We have to see N1 rotation. And most importantly, we have to see oil pressure. If we have all that plus 25 on N2, we can introduce some fuel. At the same time, also make sure that you check that the torque bar is actually disconnected and moving away. Okay, so now we have fuel flow again. That means that both valves have opened, fuel valves have opened there. So we have fuel flow, we have EGT. That's the maximum here, that's the maximum EGT during start. We have to see that EGT doesn't go above that. We have 57 and we have all the lights off and the red line has disappeared. That means that the airplane, the engine is stable. And we have to have 2, 4, 6 approximately, and about 0.3 on the fuel flow. So that is good. We go to the overhead panel and we select the generators. Okay, now we must see that the APU generator off bus light is on. And with that, we can turn the APU to off. And let's do our flows. So nothing here. Here we've done already. Nothing here. Prop hits, they go to on. Anti-ice, we don't have ice. We will use anti-ice only in TAT below 10 degrees with visible moisture, which we don't have today. And here, packs, they can go back to auto, and isolation valve can back to auto, and APU bleed back to off. Nothing else here. We set continuous in both engines, and that's it over there. Over here, we go flaps 5. And here, always make sure that you select based on this one, flap 5. So we will check flap 5. We have a message from the FMC, enable 220 knots at DC 226. Okay, no problem. That is a maximum, so not a problem. Now, system, all good. We clear all that, the lower screen. Now we have 5 green lights. And here we set 21.5 on the right radio. And yeah, I think we will not be using the radios today. I'm not in VATSIM or anything. So what is left for me to do is the flight controls check. So ailerons check, elevator check, and rudders check. Once we've done that, we will go up to the last checklist, which is the before taxi checklist. So generators, and we check that they are on. Prohit on. Anti-ice is off, not required. Isolation valve is auto. Engine start switches continuous. Recall, and we missed that, so recall is checked. Auto brake, RTO, engine start levels, idle detent, flight controls are checked, and ground equipment, we can see that is clear. Before taxi checklist complete. Okay, ready to taxi. One last time, make sure that there is no equipment there, so we can go ahead and start our taxi. So we will taxi back into Lima and go all the way to the end. Right, so we turn on the taxi lights, release the parking brake. And here we go. I hope you guys are liking this. I'll see if I have some time to check questions later on during cruise probably, or climb and cruise. Something that you may want to see, something, any questions that you may have. We'll see how it goes. I hope it's still recording. I hope this is still live. I hope that you can hear me. So many things I hope for. Anyway, so clear, clear, good. Taxi speeds, normally we go between 15 and 20 knots. Maximum will be 30 knots, so that will be a little bit too fast, and it's a maximum on a straight line, 30 knots. 15 knots is a good number. And for turns, if it's a tight turn or a 90 degrees turn, then we do those turns at less than 10 knots. 10 knots will be the maximum for those turns. Okay, so during taxi, what we wait is for the cabin ready, or the cabin secure. That's a call coming from the cabin crew once everybody's seated, with seatbelts, bags stowed, demo completed, PAs done, and blah blah blah, and the cabin crew are seated and secure. We will receive a cabin secure message. So let's assume that we've received that. Once we've received that, we will select terrain on my display and weather radar on the other display, or according to the briefing. And again, weather radar is still not working, so we have to bear with us for that. So here we will go all the way to the end, and we will use full length for runway 3 right. And let me check that is 3050 meters. Okay, so normally you will hear that from the RAS and you will cross check that. What else we want to do now is the before takeoff checklist. 5.01, so 5.1 units is the trim. So let's set that here. We don't need to be that precise, as long as it's in the green area. Actually, your trim is good. So trim is 5.1 and flaps are 5, green light and 5 here. So that is what we have, and we can go ahead and do the before takeoff checklist. So flaps 5, green lights, stabilizer trim 5.1 units, 010 set. And before takeoff checklist is complete. Now at this point in time, let me see if we can set some views out of here. There we go. That's a passenger view. Really nice. So the only thing left is the lights and takeoff. We will switch to tower frequency, tell them that we are ready, and they will tell us if we can or cannot enter the runway. Based on the ticket here, we don't see any traffic coming. So it should be okay to just go ahead and line up and wait. Again, we'll be doing the RNAV RNP departure from runway 3. LNAV and VNAV are already armed. Acceleration altitude is going to be 3,000 feet. And I will engage a pilot once everything is stable at around 1,000 feet or so. We are doing a 50 degrees Celsius assumed temperature. Reduce takeoff. Speeds are V1 127, VR 127, V2 129. So we're clear for line up and wait. I see 3 right, 03 right, that's our takeoff runway. That's good. So anytime we enter the runway, we set the stop lights and the landing lights.
Approaching 03 right.
And that is confirmed. And is confirmed. 03 right. Perfect.
On runway 03 right.
Perfect. Timing. Ready. Let's go. So we increase thrust to more than 40%. Once we have 40%, the engine are stable, both are the same. We hit toga, and there we go. And when heading select toga, thrust is set. Check thrust holds, and we check their speed. That's very, very important at that 80 knots call. Positive climb, gear up, LNAV, enough speed, come on. Beautiful. So acceleration will be 3000. Let's see how we're doing here if you want to in the chart. There we go. We are just approaching TC 225 and we are starting the turn now. And maximum is 220, so we can go ahead and clean up the airplane. 3000 feet, that's it. Speed jump to 220, that is the maximum. Pitch coming down, speed start increasing. We're above V2 plus 20, so we can go ahead and select flap 1. Flap 1, speed checked. Absolutely gorgeous, beautiful. Okay, now we've passed through the 1 mark, flap 1 green light, so we can go ahead and select flaps up. Speed check, flaps up. Reset the heading bag here. Is always good airmanship to keep the heading bag in front of you. Okay, flaps up, no lights. 220 will be up until DC 226, and after that we will increase to 250 below 10. So flow after takeoff, auto brake off, gear up and off. Taxi light can go off, ignition can go back to off, pressurization, engine blades are on, backs are auto, isolation valve is auto, cabin is climbing, differential pressure is passing 3 psi, everything looking good. So now we are at 250 knots. Everything looking good, systems are okay, and radios are good. Okay, looking good so far. Let's increase this range a little bit, okay. And again, we will change the heading, just to have it in front. Okay, FMC speed, VNAV alt. Let's see now ATC clear us to continue climb to level 230. So we set the higher altitude here, and because the pitch mode is in VNAV alt, we have to select altitude intervention to go back to VNAV speed. So now thrust mode is back to N1, and pitch mode is back to VNAV speed. So we set here 230. That's our cleared altitude, 230, and that's our cruise altitude as well, 230. Passing 10,000 feet, lights off, seatbelt, no turbulence suspected, auto, all the lights are on, passing 4.2, that is good, cabin is climbing. Let's see how's the temperature doing. Temperature is perfect. Great. Everything looking good. So now we can select the map, expanded map page here. And we can even increase the range a little bit more. Okay. And even a little bit more. Very perfect. So after takeoff checklists, let's see, engine bleeds, they are on. Packs are auto, landing gear is up and off, and flaps up, no lights. After takeoff checklist is complete. So we're going to level 230. We can see that we have our takeoff climb point here. If we go to progress page, yeah, we will do about an hour at this level. Now let's see. Actually, why did I select this 230? It should be 370. Yeah, 230 is really very low. I don't know why I selected that. Let's go to 370. If we go here, climb or cruise, yeah, the maximum optimum is 400. Yeah, 370 is good. So let's set here 370, execute that, and I'm gonna set this to 370 as well.
Altimeter setting.
I don't know why I was thinking 230. Okay, passing transition altitude, so standard here, passing 18222. Perfect. Okay, so now we are going to 370, and that is it. Let's see a little bit of cabin views. Looking pretty good. These are saved views that you can select. These are pre-saved. Really cool. Let's see from outside. Sorry about the noise. Hold on, let's see. Why? Yeah, this is. All right, perfect. Now let's see. 2, 3. Okay, we said 3, 7, right? Let's see here. Climb to 3, 7. Yes. So let's set here 3, 7. Okay, what else can we do in the meantime? Maybe I can show you a little bit more of the 737. One option that I think it's never been discussed too much, and it's never used actually. That's why it's not discussed. It's never used in real life anyway, but it's there. So why not showing a little bit? Is this control wheel steering? Control wheel steering is a mode of the autopilot that kind of simulates how the Airbus works. So if we disconnect the autopilot now, we have to manually fly and we have to trim. If we engage control wheel steering, then you will not have to trim. You just set a pitch that you want and a bank that you want, and that's what the airplane will do. That's basically the same as the Airbus flies. So let's try that one. Let's engage here control wheel steering. And let's go back to this view. Which one is that? No, sorry, this one. So now we see flight director here, and we see control wheel steering for roll and control wheel steering for pitch. So the autopilot will not follow flight director commands anymore. The flight directors are there as a guidance, but it will follow whatever pitch we set and whatever roll we set with the flight controls. So if I push the flight controls, let's say I want to fly a pitch of 2.5 degrees. So I'm gonna push the flight controls until I see 2.5 degrees, like there, and then I'm gonna release the pressure. That's it. The airplane stays there, 2.5 degrees of pitch. And as you can see, the speed will start to increase, which is expected. So let me pull back to 5 degrees. So I'm gonna start pulling slowly, there we go. And release the pressure. And now that's what the autopilot will keep, 5 degrees of pitch. It's not following the flight director commands, it's just following my commands. If I want to level, let's see, I will push the control column. And there it is. I release their pressure and now we're level. As simple as that. You don't need to trim, you don't need to do anything. So let's go back to 5 degrees of pitch. So I'm pulling my yoke here. I'm going up to 5, about 5 degrees of pitch. There we go. And now I'm releasing the pressure. So that's the control wheel steering on the pitch mode. Now, for the roll mode, I'm gonna, let's see if I can show you a little bit more with this. Okay, let's see if that works. So I will, no, it's cannot see. Maybe there. Let's see. Let's say I want to turn right with 15 degrees of bank. So I'm gonna use my hardware, my flight control, to select about 15 degrees of bank. I let it go, and that's it. That's the autopilot control wheel steering in the roll mode doing right now. Is flying 15 degrees of bank to the right. Good. Now let's see, I want to decrease this to only 10 degrees of bank. So again, I'm gonna use my control wheel to reduce to about 10 degrees of bank, let it go, and that's what the autopilot will do. But it will keep turning. If I don't stop this, if I don't do any different, this will keep turning forever. So let me push it a little bit to reduce my pitch, because I can see that the speed is starting to decrease. There we go. So a little bit less than 5 and the pitch. And now let's say I want to go to wings level. Anything less than 5 degrees of bank will give you wings level. So there we go. I released my flight, the inputs on my flight control, and now we're flying level at about a heading of 180. How cool is that? So it makes your manual flying a lot easier. Again, don't get confused that the flight director is showing a different thing, because the flight director, it doesn't know what's going on. The flight director is showing LNAV and VNAV speed, and we're not flying in autopilot. Autopilot is not flying those modes. Autopilot at this moment is flying control wheel steering in roll and pitch. Now let me go back to kind of the route. Let's see if we can set 20 degrees of bank, and now we release the. It's as easy as flying the Airbus, this control wheel steering mode. So I'm gonna go back to kind of where we were going initially. Let's set here next page direct to DAMCMO and execute that. And let's see if we can follow kind of the flight director. Okay, we're almost there. There we go. Less than 5 degrees and the plane will go back to wings level. But still is not following the flight director. It's following any inputs that I do on my control wheel. All right, so let's go back to full autopilot. Now autopilot is in command, and now autopilot is following the flight directors in LNAV mode for the roll and VNAV speed mode for the pitch. Now we can use those independently. So you see these green lights in these buttons. In the 737, those green lights means that whatever mode is here can be disengaged. So I see a green VNAV mode here and a green LNAV mode here. Means that if it's green, it can be deselected. So let's see what happens if I click on LNAV. It deselected. And now what's the mode? Is control wheel is still only in roll. VNAV is still following VNAV speed. And if you can tell here, I only have the horizontal bar, the pitch bar on the flight director. My lateral bar disappeared because now I don't have anything selected. I'm doing control wheel steering only on the roll mode. So if you want to roll again, let's input some pressure here to roll, maybe 15 degrees of bank again. That's it. I release the pressure and the autopilot will keep 15 degrees. And you can hear the trimming, doing the trimming. So let's go back to the right again. Okay, 1000 feet to level off, good. So the roll mode is following control wheel steerings, while the pitch mode is following VNAV speed. Very cool. It's totally independent mode of operation. So we're going back to direct DACMO. Okay. There we are. Let's level. Perfect. Wings are level. So now we can select again direct DACMO. DACMO direct. Execute, and we can go ahead and reselect LNAV, and now we're back to full automation mode. FMC speed, LNAV, VNAV path, we are level at 370. That's taken us 17 minutes and 1.6 tons of fuel. We are left with 5. Let's see from our flight plan here. Flight plan, it said climb. Flight plan was at level 230, so that is not correct there. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, here we are, level 230. Sorry, at level 3. I still keep thinking 230, I don't know why. So anyway, we are level at 370. Cabin is good, pressure is good. We are at 370 and perfect. Systems are good. Okay. If we hit some clouds, should we use the anti-ice or de-ice? Let's see. Temperature is -21, so that's definitely below 10 degrees. So that's one of the conditions. Another condition is if temperature is above -40. Right now we are at -48 of static air temperature. So we are in a situation where the temperature is so low, the temperature is so cold that ice will not be able to form, even if we fly through clouds. So we don't need any anti-ice at this moment. Okay, now let me see if I can figure out how to see any questions that you may have, or if I'm even still transmitting. Where is that? Let me see. My videos. No, I think I will have to go. I think I will have to go to my software here. Okay, now I see. Let's see. Hello from California. Hi. What time is the plane being released today? That's in the forum information. 1700 Zulu. There you go. That's from the forum. You can look for all the information in the forum. If the APU is in the back, why isn't the aft pump used? Well, the fuel pump for the APU in this airplane, in the NG, has its own DC pumps. So we don't really need these fuel pumps when the APU is running. There is a note in the manual that says to preserve the life of the DC pump, to extend the life of this DC pump, it's recommended to use the fuel pump. Now, you can use either the aft or the forward on the left side. It doesn't, some SOP says forward, some SOP says aft, but this doesn't mean that it's in the aft tank. This is in the left tank. Tank number 1 on the left wing, main wing. The APU is located on the back of the airplane, but that doesn't mean that the aft pump is in the back and the forward is in the forward. No, the fuel pumps, the fuel tanks are in the wings. So yeah, that is the answer for that. Pre-release, yeah, this is pre-release beta. Exactly, this is the beta still. All right, good. So let's see, we are approaching position Damco here. 15:04, so in a couple of minutes, in 1 minute, so that's about 22 minutes of flight time to Damco. Let's compare that to our flight plan. Damco 24 minutes. So we've shed 3 minutes already from our flight plan, so that's good. Minimum, we have to have 3.8 of fuel remaining at this point. To that, we have to add really 500 of the contingency and 500 that I added, so will be 1 ton. So I expect to see 4.8 remaining, and yeah, that's exactly what we have. 4.8. That's our fuel remaining at this point. I mean, everything is looking good. What else can we do at this moment? Let's see. Beautiful. Absolutely. I love it. I don't know about you, but I love it. It's a beautiful plane. Okay, some people have asked cabin views. Let's see. I don't really like the cabin views here in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Basically, you have to use the drone view. Let me see that we are doing okay here. Okay. Let's see when it's our top of descent. We have 15 minutes. Okay, we better start preparing our descent. But before that, let's go ahead and do some views here. So you have to use the drone to kind of go into the cabin and see some cabin views, which is not ideal because the drone is always moving. I don't know why, but anyway, those are the cabin. That's the cabin. Those are the cabin views. As far as I know, PMDG will get a better looking model of this sometime in the future, and that's all we have. We don't have, well, we have the galleys We don't have bathrooms or anything like that. That's all it is. Very beautiful detail here. Look at this detail. Who knows what is this? Oops. This red indication here. It's even written there. When the red flag shown in window, automatic escape slide is armed. So that's the meaning of this red flag. So even that level of detail is being programmed. This is really amazing. What else can I show you here? Yeah, this is just a beautiful plane. Just a beautiful plane. All right, let's get back to work and let's start preparing for our arrival. So let's see. Let's get the latest Sierra Kilo Papa Echo meter. Oh, no meter. Why? Sierra Kilo Papa Echo. Yeah, that's correct. No meter. Let's see if we can get it from here. Meter. No meter available. I think I remember I saw something that I'm not in line or something like that. Some error. Flight separator error. Come on. Yeah. Oh, no. Okay. Okay, so it looks like it's a connection issue. That's not good. Well, anyway, let's see. Let's go to our Navigraph. Our arrival. Is there any arrival? I think there is. Yeah, we have selected already an arrival, which is the ASCII one called. Let's see. Arrivals ASCII AXIM 1 Golf. I think that's the one. And then approach for runway 8. We have ILS Zulu or ILS Yankee. Let's use the ILS Yankee, but I think hold on. We don't need this anymore. We don't need that anymore. ILS 3 Panama. Okay, this one. Okay, and this one. Okay, good. So AXIM, ILS Yankee 8, and the airport. Okay, now let's see here. I think for some strange reason I have localizer only. I don't have ILS, which is strange. So I'm gonna use the RNAV then. Let's see. So yeah, RNAV RNP Zulu or RNP Yankee. Let's see. RNAV. This is authorization required, and this one. Okay, let's use the RNP Zulu. Okay, so it's gonna be the AXIM 1 Golf and the RNP Zulu approach from Donby, which is this point here. So Zulu from Donby and the AXIM 1 Golf is already selected. So I'm gonna execute that, and now let's see. Go to plan mode. So UIB, that is it's here. UIB that is keep the VOR frequency 113.2. So let's select that as a cross check. We don't need to, but we can do it as a cross check. So I'm gonna select that in both radios, 113.2. And now we have information, correct information to the VOR. And if we go to our nav page, UIB is identified and is 78 miles. 78 miles, everything checks and cross checks. So that's good news. We are where we think we are. Now let's keep preparing our arrival. Plan modes. Okay, next page. So after Kibdo, Argel, Monga, and I believe arrival start in Axim. Correct. Axim, maximum 250 knots, between 15 and 14,000. Okay, 250 knots between 15 and 14,000. Good. What is the transition? Transition level 190. So let me start by entering that. Transition level, we need to update here to 190. Boom. Okay. Now let's go back to here, Monga. Let's put increase the range. Okay. So Monga. Next one is Axim 250 between 14 and 15. That is checked. Next one is Urano. Urano, no restrictions. Next one is PE 800, maximum 210. So let's go next page. PE 800. Maximum 210 between 11 and 13. Next one is PE 801 at 11,000 or above. PE 802 at 9,000 or above. And after that we have Donby 210 at 8,000 or above, and that is the initial approach fix. Okay, so anything else here is got A, B, and C. We need the GNSS for the runways RNP1, and for that we can go back and set this back to normal. Actually, we'll leave at RNP3 for the approach, because most likely the approach will require RNP3. We'll see. So yeah, airport elevation 4,400, and we set that 4,400. Perfect. And that's it. Okay, so that is the arrival. Now the approach, RNP Zulu approach. Okay, that's the frequencies. The AWAS final approach course is 079er. Let's set that up here just as a visual reminder. 079er, and here we can see 079er is correct. Okay, so final approach point is Pulvo at 6,000. Pulvo at 6,000. So Pulvo at 6,000. That's the final approach fix, and we're gonna set that here with a 2-mile radius. Okay, and MSA is based on Pereira VOR, and it's very complicated because of lots of terrain. So we're gonna enter Pereira VOR here as a reference, Pereira 116.0, and we're gonna enter the 25 miles radius for the MSA. And in case of emergency, we can go up to 180. 180 will cover all over within 25 miles from Pereira. Okay, that's the most critical. Okay, now for RNAV 5050, that's the DA 5050. So let me see that. Let me set that here. Okay, 5050. So that will take some time. Oops, sorry. I hate when that happens. That will take some time. That's another of the few things that Asobo needs to fix. Hopefully they will fix some time. So we can do a quicker setting of minima, but for now we'll have to have some patience. So the approach is validated. I mean, the arrival is validated. Now we have to validate the approach. It's gonna be a RNAV, RNP approach in LNAV and VNAV. We are setting the minima now at 5050. Again, this issue. We just have to keep the button pressed, and if you move the wheel it will speed up a little bit the process, but still it's not ideal, but it's what it is. Almost there now. Okay, 5000 and 50. 5050. Good. Airport elevation has been checked. We'll come back to the miss approach later on. Transition S190, that's set and compensated without LNAV, without not otherwise below 14 degrees. Okay. So Surva mandatory at 7000, maximum 190. Surva mandatory 7000 at 190. That's it. Next one is Pulvo, maximum 160 at 6000. There it is. Next one is Papa Echo 400, that's a miss approach point, and at 5050. Good. And then is the runway. For the missed approach, let's go back to plan mode here. Okay, for the missed approach. Cross the miss approach point, turn right via the RNP track to Donby. So that's the RNP track to Donby. Maximum 160 to PE 903 at 8000. So PE 903 at 8000. That is what we have here as well. And then PE 806 to 10 at 2000. Sorry, at 9000. Yeah, and then the next one is Donby. Donby 9000, maximum to 10, and hold. The hold is 079 with right turns. All that is correct. Perfect. So that is what we have. Go back to our map. Good. So that is validated. Now, for 4.4, we're gonna need 400 kilos. So we're gonna be landing at 52.5. 52.5, and we're gonna use flap 30 126. So that is what we have there. 52.5 126. Let's see how much auto brake we need. So 52.5. Let's go to our performance calculator. Landing phase, in-flight phase 52, let's go to 52.5 with flaps 30, and braking, let's see with auto brake 2 what happens. Compute that. Landing distance requires 2150, VRF 30 is 126, yeah, that is correct. 2150, let's go auto brake 3. 1682, yeah, auto brake 3, 1682, so that we land on runway 8, and maybe we can take Charlie here, or Bravo, yeah, Charlie probably, to the ramp. Okay, so that is it. Reset MCP, yeah, we are approaching the top of the send point. So let's say request descend, and they clear us to descend initially, I don't know, 250 or something. So let's set 250 here. Okay, systems are in good order. Pressurization is good. How are we doing temperature? Perfect. Temperature is good. And retard. So now I'm gonna set my hardware also, my throttles to idle, so that they can kind of the same as the virtual here. So this is returning to idle, and we are leaving 370, descending to 250 initial. So let's do the descent checklist. Pressurization, landing altitude is set. Recall is being checked. Recall is this thing here. When we press these indicators, that's the recall. If something is still lighted after you press that, that's an issue that you have. That's a problem that you have. If once you press and release, everything clears, all the systems are good. You have no issues. You have no faults. Okay. So that's the recall has been checked. Auto brake is 3. Landing data, VRF 30, 126, minimum 5050. Approach briefing is complete. So again, I'm not gonna do any emergency briefing for now. Just the normal briefing, weather is good. We don't have the altimeter setting because for some reason, let's see if have something now. And here we don't have, no. That's a shame, but we don't have weather, so we will have to live with 1013. So 1013, and we will preset here 1013 as well. Okay. And yeah, I'm on terrain because it's a very mountainous terrain here. Wow. Let's see if there is anything else here. Okay, good. I'm sure you're gonna love this software. It's very well done. It's very in-depth, very detailed. You can select a lot of failures. You can select a lot of stuff here. Plus, it's gonna be getting better and better. One of the things to come is the EFB, is the LNAV with the arcs and radius to fixes and all that stuff. So yeah, exciting things coming. System-wise, I firmly believe this is the most advanced simulation for a computer. It's very, very detailed. I mean, lots of things that we don't have time for to show you in these quick flights, but lots of things that are simulated behind the scenes. Okay, let's see. We've been cleared to continue descent to level 200. So 200 is set. Pass 286. Cabin is slowly decreasing now. Differential pressure is slowly decreasing as well. Perfect. And we can start to see some mountains ahead. We are very mountainous terrain here in Pereira. Very cool stuff. Yeah, and I don't think unfortunately the scenery is really loading. I can see some ugly pieces here because I lost connection for some reason and I don't know how to get my connection back. But anyway, we'll have to live with that. So here's the terrain radar. As you can see, it's really working fine. Let's see here. So we're still outside of this chart. Axim is where the approach start, or the arrival, sorry, start. So that's this point here. Okay, so let's reduce the range. We can also, one very nice thing here of the 737 is the VSD, or vertical situation display. That's very cool. You will see later on the terrain here, and you will see the descent profile here as well, which is really, really cool. We have the NPS, or navigation performance scales here, and we can tell that we are right where we need to be. We can also go to progress page number 4, and that will give you all the information about the RNP. For instance, very precise vertical deviations here. That is really, really amazing. Okay, so we need RNP03, that's what we have. We are well within the limits. Let's say we're clear to descend to 15,000. So we set 15,000 here on altimeter 1013. So we go ahead and set 1013, 1013, 1013, passing 22.5. And now we can go ahead and do the approach checklist. Approach checklist altimeters. 1013, approach checklist is complete. Cool. Beautiful day today. Yes, a little bit ugly because we cannot update the terrain. We don't have. How can I get this? I don't know how to force it to. No. Well, anyway, let's see if we can listen at least to the AWS 12775. I don't think that will work, but let's see. 12775.
Sierra Kilo Papa Echo Automated Weather Observation 1500 Zulu. Wind, calm. Visibility, tree. Sky condition, few clouds at 2,400 feet, 4,700 feet scattered. Temperature, 18C, dew point, 10C, altimeter, tree 007.
Okay, that's interesting. 3007. 3007. Okay, I don't know why it's in inches, but 3007. So I guess let's change to inches and let's change to 3007. Okay. And now let's say they've cleared us to descend via the star to 11,000 feet. So let's enter 11,000 here. Okay, now let's take a look at this VSD. It's very cool. So here you can start to see some mountains ahead. That's the area that this VSD is looking between those cyan lines. That's the area that this is looking at the moment. Here we are. That's our altitude selected, 11,000. And this is the Axim point that we need to cross between 15 and 14,000. And this is the points here, 15 to 14,000. So the white line, that's our path. And we can see that we are gonna effectively fly through those restrictions nicely. This green dot means where we expect to catch the speed. The speed at this point is 250, and it will start reducing so that we have a green deceleration point. Looking there as well. Let's increase the range a little bit here more. Yeah, so that's our deceleration point. That's when we start decelerating towards 250. So we are almost below 15,000 here. Axing, we're 2.5 miles. We will make it. Let me update our heading here. Our heading always have to be in front of us. So if we need to go real quick to heading select, we can do it. So there it is, 250 knots between 1.5 and 1.4. Look at that beautiful. Look at that beauty. FMC speed check, 250 knots, and we've crossed between 1.5 and 1.4. Next is between 1.1 and 1.3 PE800. Okay, so let's increase the range a little bit more to see if we can see that. There it is. Okay, so here, that's our next restriction. We're flying to Urano, then to PE800 between 11 and 13. That's our trajectory. That's our minimum set here. We will set that back to less than that later on. And at that point, we still need, no, at that point 210 will be the maximum. So let's see. It should start to decelerate, and here the deceleration point as well. Perfect, so everything is looking good, pressurization is looking good. We are passing 14,000, so that's 10,000 above field elevation, so seatbelt on, lights on, and recall is check. Terrain is set, 0.3 is set, navigation radius are set, we don't have any flags. And perfect. Okay, so let's see that ATC has cleared us to descend via the star. So I'm gonna set 8,000 for now as a lower altitude. Good. Look at this, is the between 11 and 13 at PMDG, and our trajectory is looking good for that. That's a beautiful area of nearby Pereira. Beautiful. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, you can see we will be between 13 and 11 or above at PE801, which is the next waypoint here. Retard, okay, so that again, that means that our thrust levers are being retarded, and once they are retarded, it goes to arm. Arm means that we can manually set the thrust if we want to. So look how the speed is decreasing to comply with the restriction of 210 at this waypoint here. If you want to see in the charts, there we are, right here. Very cool. Very, very, very cool. That is so beautiful. Okay, so yeah, Pereira, 210. Between 13 and 11. Next waypoint, 11 or above. Perfect. Beautiful. Okay. Good. Drag required. Yes, thank you. So we have 26 miles to go to Pereira. We are passing this point at 11,000 or above, which is good. Look, really, really precise at 210 knots. Beautiful. Next waypoint 9,000 or above. I'm gonna set to 6,000 and turbo this. Okay. Perfect. This is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I mean, it's the closest to real life, literally. Okay, we're about to do the base turn. 9,000 or above, that is check. Turning base. Next waypoint 8,000 or above, and again we can tell that we are going to make it. We don't see too many mountains here because the range is very close. Let's see if we increase the range a bit, something like that. Okay, so that's our terrain, and let's see, now we have some mountains here. Let's see if some of them start to show in there. Probably too far. Anyway, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna stand the speed brake a little bit. Looks like the speed is getting out of control a bit. Yeah, drag required, exactly. So that's why I'm extending my speed brake already. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and set flaps 1. Speed check, flaps 1. Speed intervention to 180. Look, we are well within the limits. Flaps 5. Gonna set speed 160. Drag required after sort of a check. Okay, Surba is at 7,000. Maximum 190, and we are already 182, so we're good. Next waypoint Pulvo, that's the final approach fix at 6,000. So approaching that, we will set the minimum. Drag required check. Okay. Okay, geared out. Flaps 15. Okay. Okay, cabin is already at 4,000, and the airplane is depressurizing. And approaching final approach fix. Gonna set the 5,100 for the minimum, and flap steady. VRF is 126. Approach speed will be 132. Okay, and landing checklist. So, engine start selectors, they are in continuous. Speed brake, armed, landing gear, down 3 green, flaps, 30-30, green light. Landing checklist complete. Okay, so now we are passing the final approach point at 6,000 feet, and that is checked and cross-checked. So once we pass that, we can set the missed approach to 9,000. So we can set that now. 900,000, missed approach set. Okay, here coming the 1,000 feet above airport elevation, and we are fully stable. I have the runway in sight already, right there. Looking good. $1,000? I don't know why we don't. I didn't hear the GPWS. I have to check.
Approaching 08.
Okay, probably they are not selected. I need to check that. Anyway, let's go manual. Click, 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 click.
Approaching minimums.
Continue.
1,000.
Check.
Minimums.
Continue. Tree.
100.
That tree there, I'm sure it's not like that in Pereira.
40. 30. 20. 10.
Reversers, come on. Okay. Yeah, we'll go to the all the way to the end.
900 meters remaining.
Yeah, I floated a bit.
600 meters
So we'll
remaining.
go all the way to the end.
300 meters remaining.
Okay, less than 10 knots. Actually, for this 180 turn, I will go about 5 knots. There we go, about 5 knots for the turn is correct. Okay.
On runway 26.
Okay. Good. Now let's retract the flaps, retract the speed brakes, set the auto brake to off. That's all things that the PNR has to do. And let's real quick set the probe to off here. And we have anti-ice here because we just selected probe heaters to off. We'll clear that. And we will vacate by the first intersection here again.
Flaps, flaps.
Yeah, disregard. We are not going to take off. Okay, so this is a very narrow turn, more than 90 degrees. So we need to make sure that we are less than 10 knots, maybe 7. And we can do this turn nicely. Okay. Okay. and we'll park this one here. It's as good as any other one. So we'll use this one to park. Okay, so there's a parking brake here. We stop our block time here, and we just wait for the APU. We turn the lights off. APU is available. Select the APU generator, and we can turn engines off. Airplane is totally depressurized. Perfect. Okay. And we are less than 300 on the EGT, so we can go ahead and select anti-collision light off, seatbelts light off. And yeah, again, I'm gonna leave one of the fuel pumps on for the APU. Seatbelt is off, prop heats are off, hydraulics off. I'm gonna set the APU breathe and isolation valve to open. All the lights are off. Here, flight directors off. Reset the minimum. And here you can see the mountains that I was telling you about in the vertical situation display, which is very cool. So how much fuel we've used? Used fuel 1.35, so 2.7. We'll see that. Okay, parking brake is set, filter of fuel, transponder, standby. We set 2000 here. Okay, so we used 2.7, and the prediction was where was my where was my stuff? Disappeared. Well, let's go here. 2.8. So we've saved some fuel. Yeah, probably because this was a 230 and we were flying at 370. Let's see, systems here. Hydraulic is good. Brake temperatures is good. And we've done 1 hour and 2 minutes of flight time versus 1 hour and 4 minutes. Yep. And block time was 1 hour and 17 minutes. All right, so now we can, if you want, select FS actions, select chocks, and once the chocks are set, we can request that, and we can request that. So that will open everything. Let's see, there we go. The loaders are coming already. Look at that scenery, isn't that beautiful? The stairs are coming already. Yep. Yeah, forward cargo door is already open. Let's go outside. So we have the chocks back in place. There, they will open the aft door soon. And they will open the entry door soon as well, I guess. There it is. And look, this is what I was referring to before, this red band that get crossed when the doors are armed. Okay, well, I think that's it for now. Let me real quick see if there is any questions or anything. Nothing. Okay, let's go to general option. Yeah, but that will mean Let's see, escape, general options. I guess data here. Online functionality. Wow. Anyway, we've survived. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you like it, and you will enjoy this beauty very, very soon. Thank you again, and we'll see you in the next time.